The South Florida real estate market could be on the verge of a complete meltdown. I'm talking prices in the gutter, people losing their homes again. It could be awful. Now that's what this video could be about, and honestly, if you look online, you start looking at a lot of these headlines, that's what they're predicting and a lot of people are thinking is going to happen. However, let's take a look at it. That's really not what's happening here in South Florida. There's actually a lot of other things happening, and there's a couple factors going into what is happening as well. But before we do that, my team and I are licensed realtors here in the state of Florida. So if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest anywhere here in South Florida or Florida in general, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can call me, email me, text me, DM me, whatever is easiest for you, we got you. But now let's talk about it. What the hell is going on with the South Florida real estate market? So unless you've been living under a rock, it looks like every news headline that you see or everything you see on Twitter or X or everything you see on Instagram and TikTok is calling for a market crash. However, when we start to dig into some of the details of why they think this market's gonna crash, some of it's not really gonna happen here in South Florida. Well, look, I'm never gonna say never. However, when you really look at the data, we are having an increase in inventory. However, it's not an increase in all inventory, and prices are still pretty consistent because we still have really strong demand and we're still lacking the inventory that we really need. So let's kind of start with what's going on here in Florida as a whole, then we'll dive into South Florida, then we'll dive into like the difference between the single family market as well as the condo market. So starting off with the state of Florida in general, over the last year, so that's March 2023 to March 2024, we've seen a 57% increase in inventory. So that's definitely a good thing if you're a buyer because now there's a lot more inventory hitting the market. However, how's that affecting sellers and how's that affecting prices? So just because we do have more inventory, naturally you would think if we have more inventory, we're gonna have prices start to get lower and lower and lower. However, it's not really happening. It's happening in some markets, while it's not happening in others. So now let's kind of transition. Overall, we have 57% increase in inventory, but how's that really affecting the South Florida market in general? So when I talk about South Florida, we're looking at Broward, Palm Beach, and Miami-Dade. And I will say they're pretty insulated from the rest of the state. I mean, think about it this way. You can build and have and create more and more inventory in the rest of the entire state of Florida. However, in South Florida, you're pretty much built out. If you do want to add more inventory, oh, we could just go west. Well, you can't. We have the Everglades. Okay, let's go east. We can't. We have the ocean. The only way to go is to build up. So if you want condo living, there is opportunity for that, but due to zoning and different things, it makes it difficult. Plus, a lot of these condos that they do build aren't necessarily first-time home buyer condos. Think about it. If you're buying a condo in Miami, a studio, brand new, still gonna cost you anywhere between $600,000 to $800,000, depending on where it is, the amenities, and everything like that. So let's start to narrow it down. Let's look at South Florida as a whole. So for starters, for South Florida, there's no way around it. We are seeing an increase in inventory. However, we gotta start breaking down that inventory because I think taking inventory as a whole here in South Florida versus really what's happening is a completely different story. So we were gonna break it up into condos and townhomes versus single family homes. And I think the big thing to think about, especially when it comes to South Florida, when you're broken it up into single family versus condos and townhomes, is we're seeing a ton more condos and townhomes start to hit the market for a couple of different reasons. Number one is the assessments. Ever since what happened in Surfside, there's been a lot of rules, laws, and regulations that have gone into place to help prevent that from ever happening again, which is definitely a great thing. However, this is at the expense of a lot of these homeowners and condo owners. So in order to do so, they're having to go through their 40-year recertification. They're having to do things to update the building. They're having to have a fully funded reserve fund. They're also having increased insurance at the same time due to what happened. So in order to do all this, it's gotta cost someone money, and the association isn't gonna pay it. So they're gonna pass that cost on to each one of the unit owners. In doing so, a lot of these people are now having to pay not only a raised HOA fee due to insurance costs, but they're also having to pay an assessment on top of that. And a lot of people are just deciding, hey, paying $100,000, to redo the balconies, update this building, and do everything that needed to be done a long time ago, but now deciding to do it today, I just can't afford this anymore, or it just doesn't make sense to me to do it. So instead of paying it, I'm just gonna sell this condo. So then you'll see a lot of these older condo buildings, or honestly just condo buildings in general, start selling a ton of units within the building. So you'll look at one building, it's got like 40 or 50 listings in it. They're all exactly the same for the most part. There's maybe 12 to 15 different floor plans. And now sometimes it's just a race to the bottom. However, I will say if you're an investor, developer, or even just wanting to get in, you could definitely get a great deal if you can weather the storm on these assessments. Plus, you can also negotiate to have the seller pay the assessment. It's not necessarily has to be passed on to the buyer. So seeing an uptick in inventory with these condos and townhomes. So let's look at it across all three counties. So let's start off in Miami-Dade. For Miami-Dade, when it comes to condos and townhomes, in the month of May, we're at almost 19 months of supply. Now, that might be an outlier because we are in the middle of May. However, you look back to April and March, we're about 8 to 9 months worth of supply, which is quite a bit. Then we work our way into Broward, and if you look at Broward in the month of May, again, 17 months, but we're in the middle of May. However, if you look back to April and March, we're still at about 7 to 8 months. And then if we head even further north and we get into Palm Beach County, then we're looking at 15 for the month of May. We're throwing that one out. But however, March and April, 6 and 7 months worth of supply. So we're at about an equilibrium all across all 3 counties, and sometimes even into a buyer's market in terms of the amount of inventory that we actually have. However, when it comes to the single family side of things, it's completely different. So we start off again in Miami. We're looking at it. Month of May, we have 10 months of supply. We're in the middle of it. Throw that one out. However, March and April, we have about 4 to 5 months of supply. So it's very much so still a seller's market. Then we got to work our way north into Broward County. Looking at Broward, we're still at 4 months of supply for April and March. So still a seller's market. We don't have a ton of supply. And then we work our way into Palm Beach County. And when we look at Palm Beach County, we're still at 4 to 5 months of supply. I mean, all 3 counties, you're really looking at having a seller's market on the single family side. Not a whole lot of inventory on that side. We also don't have a whole lot of new construction single family homes either. Then when it comes to condos and townhomes, we have a ton of inventory of condos and townhomes due to both the assessment side of it and people wanting to sell. Plus, a new wrinkle that we didn't talk about was some of the new construction condos. So like I was talking about before, South Florida doesn't have a whole lot of room to build, especially for single family or townhome communities. However, we do have room to build condos. And a lot of these condos that are hitting the market are more on that luxury side. So we are at $1 million plus for a lot of them, especially the ones built in Miami. I mean, you're looking at, for your average 1 to 2 bedroom, you could be anywhere from, maybe $800,000, $900,000 upwards of, $5-6 million. However, I mean, they are worth it with all the amenities and stuff, but that's for a different video. And you're seeing this work its way further and further north. So Fort Lauderdale's trying to catch up, Pompano's trying to catch up, a lot of development also going on in downtown West Palm when it comes to condos. So that's really the only new construction options that we have. However, there are some that are further west into like Westlake and Palm Beach County, Palm Beach Gardens area, maybe a little bit of Boca. However, further south, not as much, maybe into Homestead for townhomes. But overall, that's really what we're seeing. But okay, that's great. We have all this inventory. How's this affecting prices? That's the most important thing, Joe. Like, hey, I don't want to be paying astronomical prices. And if I'm selling my house, I still want to be getting a pretty penny for it. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep it. I have stupid equity in it. So like before, we'll start off with condos and townhomes, then we'll get into single family homes. So on the condo and townhome side, Broward and Palm Beach stayed pretty consistent. The only one that really rose was Miami-Dade. However, again, Miami-Dade does have a lot of new construction condos, and these luxury condos really do, kind of affect that average and that median. So let's look at the average. Year over year from May to May in Miami-Dade County, the average price for a condo went from $712,000 to about $804,000, and this is the sold price. Now let's look into Broward and Palm Beach, where things stayed pretty consistent. For Broward, the average last year was $367,000 versus this year, where it was about $380,000, so about a $13,000 difference. And then when we look at Palm Beach County, $512,000 last year compared to about $516,000 this year. So about a $4,000 difference. So nothing astronomical in that, and that's where that inventory is starting to just make prices level out. Nothing's dropping by any means, but things are starting to level out and start to get a little bit more regulated. However, now let's look at the single family side, which is still lacking on the inventory. There's really no way to slice it. Prices are up across the board for single family in all 3 counties. So obviously starting off again with Miami-Dade, we went from about $1 million for a house to about $1.2 million. Then we work our way into Broward County. We're looking at about $770,000 last year versus $890,000 this year, so a $120,000 price swing. When we look at Palm Beach County, we went from about 1.18 to maybe 1.2 to about $1.5 million, so a $300,000 price swing. So as you can see, the lack of inventory on the single family side is definitely making prices continue to go up. However, we are starting to see a lot of people sell some of their single family homes down here, and then they are moving to other areas of Florida like that of Central Florida and even the Tampa Bay area due to the insurance costs. Okay, all this data was great. What the hell does this actually mean real world wise? So if you look at all the data and you're looking at everything, with the increased inventory in condos and townhomes, you will be able to get a better deal as a buyer if you can weather the storm on some of these assessments. Now, if you're a seller, you're kind of worried. However, if you can kind of, just ride it out, be able to pay the assessment, keep it as either an investment property or just continue to live there, it still makes a lot of sense. Things will start to level out. Obviously, prices aren't dropping. You're not in the negative, but they aren't increasing like they used to over the last couple of years. Now, granted, the last couple of years were a little bit of an anomaly. Now, on the single family side of things, it's still very much so a seller's market. Granted, there are deals for buyers out there. It's just finding those and dealing with it. A lot of the homes that do need upgrades, like they need to, a kitchen, flooring, things like that, maybe a new roof, windows, impact doors, all that, you are able to negotiate a little bit more, and they aren't at that premium. However, if it's a turnkey home and you don't need to do really anything to it, we are seeing coming back to a little bit of that multiple offer situation. Nothing crazy like it was before. However, when you really look at the whole picture of South Florida in general, I will say the real estate market is not crashing whatsoever. We are still very much so a very healthy market. On top of that, we are starting to get more and more inventory slowly but surely as things start to level out. Things aren't going to just keep taking off forever. Things will start to level out on the single family side like we saw on the condo and townhome side. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you think is going to happen here with the South Florida real estate market? Do you think it's going to absolutely flatline? Do you think it's going to crash? Do you think it's just going to keep rising and just keep ripping? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you or anyone you know are looking to buy, sell, or invest anywhere here in South Florida or Florida in general, my team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can call me, email me, text me, DM me, whatever's easiest for you, we got you.